We thank you very much for joining us. I'm Della Cruz. These are tough times for nonprofits trying to boost funding, but two groups in Essex County decided to partner up to raise money. The Cedar Grove Chamber of Commerce and District 7470 Rotary International held a big event. It was called Grooving at the Grove with the amazing Kreskin, a celebrity mentalist from North Caldwell. The amazing Kreskin was one of several headliners at the event. He also has this new book out called Conversations with Kreskin. He came to our studios for a one-on-one chat with News 12 New Jersey's Roxanne Evans.
Thank you so much for being here.
It's great to see you here.
I heard about that handshake.
Regis, of course, we all love. I did 105 shows with him, and I've known him through the years. But in the movie The Great Buck Howard that came out 3 years ago that Tom Hanks produced, John Malkovich plays me.
Right.
And Regis's comment is that my handshake is the dream of every chiropractor on the face of the earth.
He's a genius, isn't he?
Well, Hanks said to me, he said, I'll tell you the good and the bad side of making the movie. He's the nicest man you could know. He said, John Malkovich studied 3 days of all the videos he could see of your mannerisms. I'm thinking, what's the bad side? I said, what's the other side? He said, Kreskin, for 3 days he shook hands with 30 people every day the way you did just to get it down pat. Poor guy.
There's a lot of sore arms out there, I'm sure. Let's also talk about celebrities. We have an embattled celebrity, Justin Bieber. Who would have thought he would have gone from this teen heartthrob who was loved around the world to somebody who's getting in so much trouble now?
I made an offer a few months ago. I think if he goes into rehab, there are very expensive drug rehab areas. You can go to some that have riding, horseback riding, swimming, everything else. I would advise him not to.
Not to.
And I would advise the half a dozen people who a couple of them just came out of rehab and are now in trouble again, not to, unless they address a certain situation. I want to sit down with Justin and tell him exactly what he must do before he undergoes rehab, because if he doesn't do it, it's my belief, and people in the business who know me say you are telling it, he'll never get well. He will rehab, he'll go back and back and back. What that is, I gave my word. I don't spill personal things, but we need to study how successful drug rehab is. You're in for a shock.
So drug addicts cannot be
They
rehabilitated?
Can be. Yes, they can be.
They can be, but not through drug rehab.
Well, they can be through drug rehab, but there's other factors in their everyday life that have to be changed. If they're not changed, they're going right back to the setting that created it.
Because it's almost
right back to the
their
setting.
habitat. If
Study
they stay in the same
Alcoholics Anonymous.
environment.
They meet as groups. If you're going back into certain factors around you,
sure,
you're wasting time, because that's an artificial setting. And it's not that I don't want to solve the drug rehab thing, because it's a crisis it's a tremendous crisis in this country. You asked me, I want to tell you something, Roxanne, I've rarely been asked quite this way about some of these things, but maybe they have to be told. My work is an adventure, and I love reading the thoughts of people. I'm going to do something with you in a little while that's going to be interesting.
I can't wait for that, but I do want to hear about your announcement in the boxing world.
Oh, this is exciting.
Are we going to see a comeback of someone, or maybe, wow, share with us.
Wait till you hear this. I dated a gal in New Jersey for a number of years. Her father was the head of recreation in South Orange, and I saw amateur fights, and I wasn't keen about boxing. But a few months ago, a gentleman by the name of Roy DeBella, he's a boxing promoter.
Okay.
He said, Kreskin, you deal with the mind. A lot of boxing deals with reactions and what have you. I said, I know what you're thinking. You want to hire me, bring me in. I worked with 3 of his boxers. I didn't make them stronger. This is not a magic act. But working with them privately, and one of the meetings were at the Friars in New York, privately alone for a few hours, I tapped into their unconscious to program them to be more alert to a person about to strike you. Because if you watch a boxing match, the worst thing is to be hit by us, to be able to divert it before.
Sure.
The 3 people I worked with, and it was a 5.5-hour night, but the one was the main fighter for 10 rounds. Each one of them won. The final winner, they brought me into the ring for 20 minutes, and the press interviewed me and what have you. I'm now assigned to him. He's going to be doing major fights on television. Gabriel Tito is his name. And I'm going to be programming his mind to be more alert and to work. The gal that I programmed, they stopped the fight halfway through because nobody could hit her. It was almost as if she was, and she wasn't doing it. It was almost as if she was reading the thoughts of her opponent and saw the blows coming before they came. But you know what's incredible? That these are pros, that they're so alert, because it's a dangerous sport.
Well, what's the one thing that you could quickly tell all of us that we can do, that we can strengthen our mind?
We all need to stop the world and get off. Every one of you listening in, listen to what I'm saying. Sometime today, sit by yourself, close the door. Even if you have pets like I love animals, if you have children, get by yourself. I jog, I run without earphones because I need to listen to something else, my inner mind, and we're not doing it anymore. Don't concentrate, just reflect. If you learn to do it every day, listen to me, by the 10th day you do this, you'll start hearing things or getting ideas because your mind is now getting used to the idea that this is the way I can get through. The only thing that's limiting our minds is the imagination.
I love that. More from Roxanne and Kreskin later in the show. Next, we'll chat with the event organizers. I'm Della Cruz. My guests today are Alan Rosen, president of the Cedar Grove Chamber of Commerce, Joyce Kazoun, assistant governor of District 7470, Rotary International. She was also a past president for the Rotary. Both groups joined together to present the Grooving at the Grove, starring the amazing Kreskin, and it's good to have both of you here today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
So many nonprofits are having a tough time in these economic times. What brought you two together?
We and the Chamber of Commerce had decided to run a fundraiser, and we were finding many obstacles to run into. So our idea was, let's join up with Rotary International, or Cedar Grove Rotary Club, and see if we could put together a joint effort. I approached Joyce, and we had a meeting, and I said, let's try to organize together, and in this tough economic environment, maybe we could do more good than individually. We went back to our individual clubs, we had meetings, we had messages up and back, and we figured out that the Rotary Club had a lot more to offer in their expertise than we as a Chamber of Commerce could offer.
And you were a Rotarian.
I am a Rotarian.
Okay.
I'm a Rotarian. And we worked together to split the event with what was done well by Rotarians and what the business organization, the Chamber of Commerce, could do. Our goal in the Chamber of Commerce was to move expertise into the Cedar Grove Rescue Squad, which is in desperate need of a new ambulance. We have 3 ambulances. 2 of them are 11 years old, 1 is 15 years old. We have a rescue vehicle. We must replace our 15-year-old vehicle. Now, our costs on a vehicle of that nature is $140,000. So our goal, obviously, is to raise funds for this organization, which is completely volunteers. They put in enormous amount of time. We have 50 regular volunteers. We receive no payments for services rendered. Last year alone, we did 1,550 life-saving calls.
That's a lot.
It's a lot for a small town. And we piggyback with all the surrounding towns, and we aid, and they aid us. Our operating expenses alone are $88,000 to $100,000 a year because we must perform maintenance, all our other expenses, and we only work on donations.
Which is where this gala came into play. Tell us about that.
So we decided this gala was going to be our big fundraiser. And through a mutual friend, Mr. Scott Drucker of the North Jersey Media Group, we were able to connect with Kreskin. When Kreskin understood that this was a local situation, he jumped all over us. He said, I'm going to help you. Once we had Kreskin on board, we went to the Grove, which is a new catering facility in Cedar Grove, a beautiful, beautiful place. They said, we're on board. One thing led to another. Koki Designs, a florist in Cedar Grove, said, I'll supply you with flowers. John Lawrence of the Blue Moon Review Doo-Wop Orchestra, I want in. Everybody got involved. Before we knew it, we had a beautiful event planned. Local printer, Repromatic Printing, did a beautiful job on journals and tickets. And then we started to market the event, okay? And then Joyce had an expertise in tricky tray.
Tell us about that.
Yes, Al came to me and he said, you know, Joyce, we need to partner up. How can we work together? And he says, you're an expert on the tricky tray. Because when everybody goes to an affair, they really like to get something to take home with them.
Yes, we do.
Right. So we set up a tricky tray and the outpour was phenomenal. The people in the community donated the gifts for our tricky tray. So that allowed us to make the money for this event and whatever we wanted to donate to, especially to the rescue squad. I'm working with Gift of Life, which is a project that Rotary supports internationally. And we found out the tricky tray did make about $1,800.
That's a lot.
So the people enjoyed it, and we keep, you know, these people are saying, when are you going to do another one? When are you going to do another one?
Did they like the fact that you had the two organizations together hosting this event?
When Al approached me, he said, Joyce, I'm with the Chamber, you're with the Rotary. What could we do to come together? It was sometimes difficult to discuss through our own organizations to say, we're going to partner up. And there were a lot of questions we needed to answer, but also to make the people in the two organizations
see the bigger picture.
See the bigger picture, not only that, but to feel comfortable and to build a trust.
Exactly.
And that was the key of the trust of what we built together.
You made it work. We will have more right after the break. I'm Della Cruz. We are back with Alan Rosen, president of the Cedar Grove Chamber of Commerce, and Joyce Kazoun, assistant governor of District 7470, Rotary International. And we were talking about the needs of your rescue squad. How can people help?
We have a wish list of about $75,000 of other equipment, but I want to stress that we work strictly on donations. For example, we just received, not too recently, a letter with a note in it. Thank you. For you, I'm able to send this. It wasn't signed, but there was a $5,000 check in it.
And you provide a lot of training through this rescue squad.
We provide rescue training, water training, CPR. We go into the schools. We bring in trainers, which we must pay for. And then we bring the community in for, you know, educational purposes, which leads into what the Rotarians do with our Gift of Life programs.
Yes. And it's so true, Al. One of our projects is the Gift of Life. And if anyone doesn't know what that is about, that is giving a heart surgery to a needy child, be it here in the United States or a poverty country, that these children will not have the access to have this heart surgery done. So all this is done voluntarily, but we do need money to bring these children over, and Rotarians do sponsor and host the families that come over. In the past, Rotary has sponsored about 4 or 5 heart surgeries, but like everything else, Della, everything costs money.
Yes, it does.
So it does.
And surgery is not cheap.
No, it's not. Even though the doctors are doing it gratis, it does cost money. So what we've done is, with the little children in the school and the community, to make them aware that they are lucky of what they have today. So how could you help others? And we started what was called the Power of Reading, in which the children read, and the family, only the family, they didn't solicit, sponsored them, and they raised money. So we raised money, about $3,000, to give to the Gift of Life and Polio Plus.
Let's step back. You said children help to raise money to help other children in need.
Yes. Yes, and we visited the schools, and Al was aware of this because I was telling him the project, because everything is money. So we educated the children with Polio Plus and the Gift of Life. What does it mean? How are we going to do this? And because I'm an educator, I decided, let's put reading into this. So the children read, and with pennies here, nickels here, they raised that amount of money, in which we were able to split and donate. But as you know, it costs a lot. It's about $6,000 to $10,000 to sponsor the Gift of Life for these children in these poverty-stricken countries.
How long have you all had that program?
Oh, it's been since 1975. It started in Long Island. And Rotary International heard about this, and they said, this is a great project for us to do internationally. Don't forget, Rotarians, we're about 1-2 million strong throughout the world. So, and we have no barriers, as Al knows. We have no barriers at all. There's no religious barrier or ethnic barrier. We just accept people for who they are, and a humanitarian effort to help others in need.
Absolutely.
As two nonprofits working together, what
Yes.
message do you all want to leave with people?
The message is to join together. It's a tough economy. We must work together. If you try to strive forward as an individual, there are too many individuals out there doing the same thing. But if you can group up and work together, you'll succeed.
United,
stand.
we stand. So that's what Al and I came together, and we said we can do this.
And there is strength in numbers.
Yes, there is, and this is just the beginning. So we're looking in the future to ask other organizations to help us too. But I hope that people remember that this gift of life is very important, very in need for children who can't have a heart surgery.
Thank you both very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Joyce, Al, you all keep up the great work. Thank you so much with the Rotary and the Cedar Grove Chamber of Commerce, which is only, 2 years old? Great stuff. More from Roxanne Evans and Kreskin right after the break.
It's over.
I'm Della Cruz. We are back with more from the amazing Kreskin. News 12 New Jersey's Roxanne Evans sat down with him. He showed her a few tricks he had up his sleeve.
Would you like to try an experiment right now?
I would.
And
I would.
boy,
Let's do it.
they all know about it except you.
Oh!
The crew here does.
You guys.
In fact, one of the crew set this up.
Okay.
Roxanne, we prearranged nothing.
Okay.
You have no idea. No one they didn't tell you what I was going to try to do.
No,
It's in
I
your-
didn't know about this at
And
all.
all of you at home, I want you to try this. Roxanne, close your eyes. Just close your eyes and
Okay.
keep them closed. Folks, all of you at home, your eyes are closed. You're not seeing what I'm going to do. And Roxanne's eyes are closed. And I will just tell you this so you know. Keep your eyes closed, Roxanne. Before we started, one of the crew here handed me this. And I'm placing it here. And Roxanne will not know what it is.
No.
Roxanne, would you open your eyes? All of you, Roxanne, you're going to use this camera 3 because I want you to see this exactly the way the viewers are.
Okay.
Now, I did this recently, about a year ago, on a Sunday morning show live, and a man from England was watching and got the exact message and was so excited he booked me for a concert in Boston. Roxanne, look at the camera.
Okay.
I'm holding these cards. Now, look, I'm not going to tell you. All I want you to do is to think, and get the camera can get as close as you want. Think of a card that you see, but don't make up your mind ahead of time. You must see the card and make sure that you've seen the card and that you're thinking of a card.
Yes.
Have you thought of a card, Roxanne?
I absolutely have.
Now, can I ask you this? Did you change your mind at one point, thinking of a picture card first?
I did.
Yes, I know the way you were thinking. But Roxanne, and they know what I've done.
Okay.
Tell us the name of the card you thought of. What's the name of it?
My final card?
Yeah.
It was the Ace of Diamonds.
Folks, look, all of you know about this. We'll get a close-up. Let me take out of the deck here the Ace of Diamonds. Now, that's not the first, but I'm going to put it over here. Now, I'm going to tell you something that you don't know. Before we were out of the room, I went to one of your gentlemen here and gave him another deck of cards. Actually, not a red back deck, it was a blue back deck. I said, and he mixed them. I said, you hand me. This is not magic. He handed me a card. I put a blue back card in this deck when your eyes were closed. All of you know at home, I put a blue back card in. She could have thought of any one of these cards here. She thought of the Ace of Diamonds as the card I put. It's literally the card. You literally got that card, and you changed your mind.
I did change
Yes,
my
you did.
mind.
Isn't it fascinating how the mind can work?
It is very fascinating.
by the way, I
you
wanna
made
tell you-
me change my mind.
Yes, and I want to tell all of you listening in,
Incredible.
I would say a few thousand of you got that Ace of Diamonds. I would be willing. Isn't it fascinating how the mind can be
It's a
affected?
very powerful tool.
Yes, it is. I've worked with thousands of people around the world in broadcasting. You're a very warm personality.
Oh, well,
and I want
thank
to tell you,
you. Thank you so
I want
much.
to tell you,
Thank you so
I want
much.
to tell you what is it's very special, because if you watch talk shows a lot today, you understand what I mean. It's neat that you listen and embrace what someone says, because that's the real art of interviewing, not the next question on a list. And she never even glanced at a list. That's what made it a pleasure.
Oh, you're making me blush. That is so sweet of you. Thank you. Well, you're such a fascinating man, and you have such a illustrious career that how could I not hang on your every word?
Let's put a postscript on this and say,
Yes.
and you know what, I'll just say, I'm not going to say goodbye to you. In the spirit of broadcasting, let's just say, to be continued.
To be continued. Thank you so much, my friend.
And thank you, Roxanne. If you'd like to find out more about the guest on today's program, log on to social media or news12.com. I'm Della Cruz. New Jersey, the spotlight is on you.